Hi, I'm Linda Deir.
And I'm Ray Hawley, back again for our Tuesday night session.
Right, that's right. We're glad to have you all with us. Tonight, you will experience what it's like in a personal coaching session with me, where you can speak to your spirit guides. Ray will post the link to Angel Coaching Session with Linda. Coaching sessions are done over Skype or over the phone. I'm the author of Guided, winner of the 2017 Body, Mind, Spirit Book Award. And Ray's going to post the link for the book and where you can get it. And today, we're going to be talking about my guided journey. We're on part 2, page 14. The search begins. And Ray's going to post the link for this book as a free download from the Linda Deir website. So you guys can work with this and learn how to use this, how to restore your life. And I always recommend that you read Guided or listen to Guided. I did it in audiobook format as well. Before you start working in my guided journey, because it's a baseline, it's how I did it, and this is the shortcut, if there is such a thing, as to how you do it and really change your life around in a positive way, all right? Okay. And actually, it's Guided that caused my guided journey to even come about after the thousands of fans who asked me how they can make a connection to their spirit guides and angels, and that's what brought about my guided journey. So do get this, okay? All right, now. Okay, like I said before, we are on part 2, page 14 of my guided journey. The search begins. The guides are going to talk about when the search began in your life. When the fear returned, it brought urgent attention to the loneliness that had gone on for far too long. This awareness has caused you to pause, become quiet, and observant. You can no longer go about doing things the way you used to. The void has become haunting, imagining the worst while holding on to some distant hope. Your longing is so strong for this void to be filled, you start searching everywhere out there to find it. Your anxiety separated you from the love and from your spirit guides. And we use Ask the Universal Channel for your guides to communicate their messages to you. Ray is the one they assigned to speak out their messages on this board. And Ask the Universal Channel is a trademarked product of our parent company, Channeled Readings. And Ray just posted the link to the story of Ask the Universal Channel and how it all came about. Actually, it's a product from my spirit guides in my first channeling session. They asked me to create this because they needed it as a tool to reach you guys by. As life gets more challenging, they saw that coming. And they asked, in fact, it's the only thing they ever asked me to do. And I was all in. I did that. And
it's a pretty fascinating story.
Yeah, it really is. So check it out.
That happened, 30 years ago?
30 years ago in December that they first came through to me. First time I ever used a talking board, and the first time they came through to me and told me what they wanted. And it's really an interesting story as to how I was invited into that first session by the mediums that were in charge, and how they were reluctant to have me in, and what their guides did to convince them to have me in. Actually gave them an ultimatum. It's a pretty interesting story. You don't want to miss it. Okay, so now the spirit guides and angels are going to open the session with their opening message to the group about how the search began and how it relates to your life right now when you start using your journal and start writing in there what happened at that point in time in your life. And here they go.
Good evening. Tonight, we will talk about searching. When do you start a search? An inner search can happen at any time in your life. Going back through your life can be difficult. How far do you want to go back? What do you remember? How do you remember it? Is it a memory that is crystal clear in your mind, or is what you remember an embellished story of what you would have liked to happen? These are all obstacles to remembering your past. A good thing to have would be a written document that journals everything that has happened in your life. Kind of like the black box on an airplane. The black box records everything from point A to point B on the flight. Nothing is missed. Everything is recorded and kept so it can be retrieved and analyzed. There's no guessing at what happened. There's only what happened, without any interpretation or judgment. Just events, one after another. How convenient would this be if you had something that did this for you, rather than having to remember everything as you get older?
And hopefully you can remember any of it, let alone for its accuracy, right?
Yeah, it's, people tend to not remember much of their childhood. Most adults can't remember anything before the age of 4 or 5.
That's really interesting. And that is absolutely the opposite of what you're going to discover here in My Guided Journey. This is a journey back to the beginning where you made snap decisions, knee-jerk reactions. You were just reacting. You weren't qualified to make those decisions, but you were forced to make them at that time. And that actually has rolled out into the life that you have now, and the same snap decisions that you made then, you're still making them. So you could probably do better. Most people that I work with in coaching sessions, they all admit that they can definitely do better if only they knew better. All right. So that's what this journal is all about. In part 2, it's taking the journey. In part 3, it's tracking where you're going now. It's journal writing. All right. So it's a guided journal writing system is what we have here. Okay. So
We have some new people.
we do.
Yeah, and they have some questions like,
Okay.
what goes on here? They're not sure what they're supposed to do.
You aren't sure. Okay, well that's good, you guys. Ray's posted some things in the feed where you can get an idea about what we are doing. But basically what this is I'm an author. I wrote a book called Guided. I have this extraordinary relationship with my spirit guides and angels since I was a baby. In fact, this is a photograph I took of my spirit guide when they appeared to me in 1994. All right. So you can go to Amazon and find out all about this and find out about me at lindadeir.com. That's my website. And I'm a medium. I'm an author, a coach.
International coach.
Yeah, I have coaching clients in 16 countries now. And a trainer. We train people, we teach people how to communicate with their own spirit guides and angels and know when it's coming through you as opposed to coming from you. Because if it's coming from you, it's not them. Okay, so we teach you how to discern between the two. Today, what we're doing is the theme we're talking about is the search begins, and that's in my guided journey, and that's a free download on my website. Check that out.
Free? You're giving that away free?
Well, the guides decided on that, Ray.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, and we're talking about how the guides are talking about how the search begins in your life back when you were a little kid, when you were a child, and how it has turned into your black box. It's where you have hidden yourself away. And in safekeeping, you haven't gone anywhere. You're okay. Everything's fine. Except it's really time to come out of there and start being who you are and not worrying about what people think about you and not trying to be something that just fits in, but someone who's engaged in their life and living their life from their soul purpose, from their urge, from who they are, being true to yourself. So that's what you stepped into today. And this is where you can speak to your guides about questions you have around what's in your black box. When the search began for you, this happens. The search begins, what we're talking about today in the journal on page 14 of part 2. This happened when you're in your teenage years. So you've lived enough life where you've looked this all over and you know what feels right and what doesn't feel right. And that's where you are now. You're still there. You're still wondering, okay, this feels right, but this doesn't feel right, but I keep doing it and I can't seem to get away from it and I can't let these people down, and how do I change now? And all those kind of questions. So if you have a question around that would be the right kind of question to ask in today's Facebook Live with us. We're here every Tuesday, so we cover different topics each Tuesday.
I have an observation. I don't have a question.
Yeah.
So you said the first time that the search began, you were in your teens. Okay? But a lot of people are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're just now starting that search, looking backwards. I mean, that's a lot of things happened between the time you were a teenager and now, because that's kind of like me. I'm more like everybody in the audience than like you, because you had a connection with your guides since you were a baby.
Right.
I mean, we didn't meet till I was 52.
Right, exactly.
Okay, and when I started doing this, I had problems, like a lot of other people did, where they got stuck. Some people got stuck on page 1 of part 2 where there was fear. What was your first fear as a child? Well, that's pretty scary stuff for a child.
Now, I talk about the first fear that I experienced when I was a child in my true life story here in Guided, so that once you get guided and you hear it, you listen to it or you read it, you'll understand why I know what that is. But the point that Ray's making here is not everybody remembers like I do, going back that far. And here's what happened when Ray took the journey.
Yeah, what's interesting is I got stuck up until I got to this page 14.
The one we're on today.
The one we're on today, the search begins. I couldn't do pages 1 through 13 because I couldn't remember.
Until he hit page 14.
Right. And then I filled out page 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And then I went backwards.
From 13.
From 14, 13, 12, all the way back. And I remembered little by little each time, every time I went backwards until I got all the way back to 1.
Right. So when you got back to 1, what happened?
Well, it all made sense. It started making sense when I got back to around, my age 3, 4.
What happens, Ray's not really articulating it well, what he told me, but what happened is by the time he was able to get back to page 1, which turned out to be the last page that he fulfilled in part 2 of My Guided Journey, not page 18, the last page, but page 1 became his last page. The point we're making here is there is no right or wrong way of doing part 2. You start where you're comfortable. You move from that. It might be back, it might be forth, whatever, all right? It usually, the people who are taking this journey, they start with a page where they can remember things that were pleasant, a great time in their life, all right? And that's really what happened with Ray and why he could start writing from that, because it was a good time and he remembers it so well. Then he could go back and visit the parts that he didn't remember so well, since this was reignited in his life. He was already back into his childhood. He was there, okay? So it doesn't mean that you're going to start on page 1. That's the whole point. Because page 1 is not a page that most people start on, because it's pretty hard. I mean, page 1 is fear. That's the beginning of Guided starts out pretty harrowing. And that it was fear that actually, the fear, the torment that happened in my life is what brought my guides to life. It's when they all appeared all around me when I was 20 months old, when my mother almost took my life, all right? So I was in a pretty fearful situation. Fear, you might say, I had a triple double, I had a quadruple dose of fear laid down on me, to the point where what I refer to as, it was so much fear at such a young age that I popped through it like a veil. And that's when all my guides were all around me, completely unconcerned about my well-being, because they knew I was going to be okay. They were looking out for me. It changed everything in my life going forward, to the point that I don't even know how different it would have been, because it started so early in my life. But it's through taking this journey that you will rediscover and reclaim yourself, restore your life. And when you do that, then you start to become more calm and more sure about yourself. And that act aligns you with your guidance. You just start connecting with it. It's not something you have to go looking for out there. It's always been right here, okay? So, again, this session has to do with asking questions, asking your guides, speaking with your guides about how you're doing in that department, how you're doing right now. So what do we have?
We have a question. Sarah G. Hi, Sarah G.
Hi, Sarah.
Sarah's a new author.
Yes. A new brave author.
A brave author.
Yeah.
There we go. It takes a certain amount of bravery just to be an author.
It really does.
Okay, her question is a little general. My question would be, am I on the right path? I just changed my whole life around recently.
Okay. So let's let the guides talk to you about that. All right. And here they go, Sarah.
Sarah, how did these changes make you feel? Did you feel that your decisions came from you or through you from us. It's a good thing to realize you need a course correction in your life, but it's not always good for people to go out and make radical decisions that will affect them for a long time without listening to their guidance. We want you to feel good about where you're going and the difference between your success and failure is how much you are willing to put forth the effort to stay on course.
Okay, let me think about the last part of that. If she has a question around that, go ahead and ask it, Sarah.
No.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question for her on this, Ray. Come
Okay.
back on this. What kind of effort, specifically, what kind of effort are you suggesting that she needs to be aware of?
That once you get moving in what you know is the right direction, the one that feels right, that you continue to move forward on that path alone and not come back and second guess yourself.
There you go. All right. And that's your own journey. That's my guided journey. You need to be doing this, Sarah. This will, wherever you're resistant, wherever you still have fear driving your car, to the degree that fear is still in control of your life, it's throwing you, it's throwing you off track. It's confusing you. It's making you second guess yourself, like they were talking about. So you've got to know the difference. You've got to be able to discern. You've got to be solid in yourself, right? This is how you do it. You've got to take the journey, part 2. We're on page 14 today. We're on page 14. The search begins, and recovering your black box. Where is it in there that you're still hiding? Where is it in there that you're still scared? Where is it that people can just say something to you and knock you right off your course, right off your path? How easily are you freaked out by what somebody says or thinks about you? Okay, so that's always the test. And what you need to do is you need to go back and find out where that first happened. Part 2, we're on page 14. And you find out where that first happened, and you write it in here, and you then have a sequential system where you can see where it began, how it turned into all these other things. It built on each other, became a crescendo, and here you are in your life, and you're doing pretty good, but you could sure do better. Okay, you know you could clear some of this up and not let these petty things interrupt your life. You know, they shouldn't take up 5 seconds of your life. That's the only thing you have to be fearful of, is letting that fear control you. All right, so that's what they're saying here to you. You need to work those things out.
I think it's particularly tough for younger people to not take things personally.
Right.
because you tell somebody you're on a new path, you've changed this, you've decided to do this or that with your life, and they're your best critics there.
Oh, they'll be the biggest. They'll come first. They'll come forward first.
And that's when they start making you doubt or second guess your decisions.
Or it's almost like saying something. I'm going to take it to an extreme so you can get your head around it. It's like somebody saying, "Who do you think you are?" They don't have the guts to do it. So who do you think you are? Find out who that is. You're bigger than you know. That's why you take this journey, all right? Everybody, the journey is mandatory. If you're really wanting to hook into your guidance and get clear in yourself and be solid going forward, and quit making all these decisions that throw you off track, catch you off guard. You didn't anticipate all this. You're bumping along. If you really want to have control of yourself and your life and understand what's really going on within you before you got here, okay? Not where you are now in all this chaos and emotional energy, and everybody else is caught up in the same thing. You can't do anything about that by going into it with them. You can have no impact by doing that. You've got to be okay, really okay, with who you are, who you're just beginning to realize you are. So
you did a blog that I'll put a link up when I find it, about keeping your guidance to yourself.
Yeah.
And how important that is.
Yeah, good, right? That's a good one. While you're working out and going back to recover who you are, recover your black box, go in there, in that place that's so sensitive. It's a black box because you couldn't go there because you couldn't trust that part of you in this world. No way were you going to do that. Well, the minute you do that, and in Sarah's case, she wrote a wonderful book, a candid book about her life, and she did that because she wants to help other people, okay? So again, like Ray said, taking it personally, that's the first thing we have to heal, and because it's based in worrying about what somebody else thinks of you.
Yeah, you find out when you're going through this journey, this new awakening, whatever you want to call it, where you're trying to get back on the path, make a reconnection to your guides, and you start telling people about it, and that's when they start judging you for what you're doing.
Or they start questioning you.
Right. Yeah.
They start getting you, trying to push you in a corner where it's
you have to defend what you're doing.
Right. That's what this one blog post is about. Keep your guidance to yourself, that I wrote, or that the guides came through and talked about in a blog. That's what it's all about. And so don't set yourself up for failure. Don't talk to people about it. You've got to, this is how come I started journaling when I was a kid. I had nobody to talk to. I could write it in my journal. It was safe. I could say what I felt. I knew the guides were with me. And almost as soon as I wrote out what was going on, guidance would come through and add to it. So it's going to surprise you. But you've got to start doing it. You got to start working it. And by the time you get through part 2, page 1 through 18, the journey, you get to part 3, where you start the journal writing. You're going to be able to journal write from the right mindset, okay? You're going to see things on a higher level than you would have if you skipped over part 2. And in part 2, for every page in part 2, Ray and I have done a 1-hour video on my website. You go to my website, lindadeir.com. You go up and click on blog, and then on that page, on the right side under categories, you click on, it's 1, My Guided Journey, and we've got a page that's a video associated with each page in this journal in part 2 that you need to watch before you start writing out your journey in part 2 on each page, because it's going to get you in the right mindset, because you won't be in the right mindset. If you start journaling just from what you think you know and the way you need to start, you're wasting your time. So you need to start with those videos first.
And this isn't like keeping a diary. There's a big difference.
No, there is. And yeah, we talked about that earlier. So anyway, what else do we have?
Well,
Ray?
we have a couple of questions.
Okay.
We have a newcomer, Lydia. Hi, Lydia.
Hi, Lydia.
She has a pretty general question. Where's her life going? But then she asks another question. Will I be single forever? Now, that's more to the point.
Okay, now you realize that we're talking about the theme today is the search begins, and it's recover your black box. Okay, so the search begins in your life when you were younger. These things and these questions we all have right now, we know the answers to them. If only we go back to where we pushed ourselves away, that part of us that knows everything, because that wasn't okay in this world. Okay, so that just remember that. Okay, Lydia. And
Let's see what they have to say.
okay, now the question again, Ray.
Okay. Where's my life going? And the other part is, will I be single forever?
Okay, where's my life going? Okay, they're kind of like going to be answering the same question here, or answering it in the same answer here. Here they go.
Lydia, do you have a plan for your life? Which way you would like it to go? If so, it's probably not working for you, or you wouldn't ask us that question. Plans rarely work out. You must look at your life as a continuum, not a past and a future, but a series of present moments strung together, because that is the future. Now, will you be single forever? We see that you worry about being alone or lonely. We want you to understand the difference. Being alone is a state of being. People many times choose to be alone. This is much different from feeling lonely. Loneliness is a difficult emotion to bear. It stems from you thinking that people just do not care about you. That is not true. If you also have a list of requirements for a relationship, you should also throw those away, because you never get to pick who loves you.
And so if we have something already set in our minds where we want and we really expect something in particular to show up, and if it's not at least that good, then we're not going there, then that's what they're talking about. They're talking about get those expectations out of the way so you can notice when something does show up that's right for you. That's the one, okay? I talk about that happening in part 4. There's 4 parts to my flagship book, Guided, Lydia. And this is a book. This is about 400 pages. And I did the book in Kindle paperback and audiobook format, and you can get it on Amazon. But it talks about it in part 4, where I just threw my hands up in the air. I was 51 years old, and I said, you know, I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm not doing this anymore. And I put a request out to my guides, and I said, if the right one shows up, give me a sign. And I let it go. I was done. I didn't care who wanted to go out with me or, you know, whatever. I'm done. I wasn't going to go out with anybody, and I didn't. And
what happened?
Well, don't ruin the story, Ray. Anyway, Ray's in part 4.
You were single for a long time.
They sent Ray in, all right, and I call it like a conspiracy. But that's when it's meant to be. That's when, you know, no one. I said my picker's no good because I've been picking the wrong people, and that's when everything changed for me. So I know through living it that you can't go out chasing it. You've got to just let it come to you. You've got to be. Remember, you attract to you that which you are at any given time. So you've got to be the highest vibration of you. You've got to be the best you that you can be all the time, being true to yourself. You've got to be who that is. Do the things you love. That allows you to be the best you can be, okay? Honor yourself. Get the rest you need. You know, take care of yourself. Exercise. You know, don't make things up in your head. Don't worry about things from the past coming back to get you. Because if you do that, you'll draw it to you. You'll draw that energy to you. So pull out of all that. And, you know, that's why I created this, the My Guided Journey, which is the companion journal to my flagship book, Guided. To help you guys get where I am, to get that connection to your guides, to stop second guessing yourself, stop questioning yourself, get to know who you are, trust yourself. Until you do that, you're not going to attract what you want. You're going to attract an equal and opposite confusion to you. All right?
That's a good way to put it.
That's what you're going to do. Don't do that.
A lot of people go out thinking they're going to find somebody that's going to make them happy when they can't make themselves happy.
That's what they're going to draw to them.
Right. Somebody else that doesn't make them happy.
But they're going to have a mask of happiness. Like, look how happy I am, you know? And underneath it, they're really not happy at all. So you can't chase it. You've got to learn to breathe and be comfortable in your own skin, you know. And the way you do that is you get in there and you find out what's under the skin, what's under the hood. Part 2 of my guided journey is taking the journey. It's how I did it.
And be sure to read the relationship part 4 of Guided, several times.
Yeah, he likes
That's the
that.
part where she meets me and lives happily ever after.
Yeah, well, it wasn't because you just decided to go chase me or something. I mean, that wasn't your
You
call.
ran. She ran.
Yeah, I did. Well, it's an interesting story. It's fascinating, you guys.
Yeah, that was the fear part coming back there.
But it started showing up years before he even came into my life. So you get these little signs along the way. Unless you're doing the journaling in part 3, you're not going to see the signs. Because it's going to be, unless you're writing it down, you're not going to see how it all daisy chains together. Had you not got connected with this insight and took a certain action that led you down the road to this point where you got that insight and you acted on that and it led to the next thing. Okay, it's a daisy chain of things that you act on that make it fantastic when you're finally shiny and all polished up and ready for that in your life, okay? We're not always ready for what we're asking for, is what I'm also trying to say. You might be lonely and feel alone, but you're still working it out, because if you were to have maybe the person that you would attract into your life right now, maybe that wouldn't be whatever you are, okay? Maybe that wouldn't be what you want. you know you could do better. Well, you've got to do better before you can attract it, right? Same analogy there. All right.
Okay, Electa, we didn't forget about you here. Electa would like to know, is there anything
Hi, Electa.
my guides want to tell me right now?
All right, Electa.
That's pretty right to the point.
Well, it is. She's a right to the point kind of gal.
Yes,
right?
she is.
All right. And here they go.
Electa, we are worried that you are not getting enough rest.
Ooh. Now that was the shortest little point that they've made tonight. So let's hear some comment back from you on that, Electa, all right?
Okay, and let's see here.
And your guides will comment back. They'll speak to you about it.
So Lydia,
Yep.
relationship
Yep.
question, Lydia. She says there's a gentleman in question that's much older than she is. Tells me that I'm too young, but is always looking after me. She's not sure how to handle it. Or should she go or should she stay? Should I stay or should I go?
There's a song like that.
Just like that.
Isn't that right, Ray?
Mm-hmm.
Did you used to do that song?
Probably.
Okay. Ray used to be a musician.
I was a rock star in a former life.
And here they go, Lydia. They're going to answer you on that.
It all depends on what you are looking for and willing to settle for. Are you only looking for someone to take care of you? Because in the long run, that will not make you happy. Please don't confuse happiness with pleasure. Pleasure is more instant gratification, but happiness grows throughout your life. If you see yourself having to compromise in any way in order to be with this person who wants to take care of you, then you should have second thoughts.
What do we have, Ray?
Let's see here. No new ones. We have a new Samara. Samara joined us. Welcome.
Hi, Samara.
That's it.
All right. So
This whole relationship thing, in your quest, when you go backwards, when you are in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and you go backwards on your search, okay, looking for where you got off track, where your life got off track, most likely there was a relationship involved where you started to get off track.
Oh, definitely.
Where that person's ideas of you making them happy forced you to change,
Compromise.
to compromise, there you go, and go against your principles
That's what compromise
in order
is.
to think you were making them happy.
Okay, and really, in order to think that you're making them happy or push a problem off, kick the can down the road so, you don't have to deal with it right now because you really don't know how to. So you just kind of, you tolerate it. And every time you do that, you just take the wind out of your sails. The gusto in your life is diminished. You've compromised. So it's just not as good. And it could be better. You could do better. So that's what you always want to get around, is not finding yourself doing that. And if it means that, for you, I mean, you could, if somebody wants to take care of you and you're having fun with it right now and you can explore it, play in it, but recognize that don't take it too far because you have a certain amount to learn something, learn it, pull back, and let the guidance come through. Get out of all the commotion and the chaos and the drama and all this stuff, okay? And pull back and just let yourself relax and get the feedback that you're looking for. And it won't come from people. People give you opinions. Your guides give you solutions. That's the difference. But you have to pull back to do it. You have to get quiet so it can come through.
Very well put. I think that people chase happiness in many different ways. They think that, especially with relationships, they go, I'll be happy when I have a good relationship. I'll be happy when I have a new job. I'll be happy when I have more money. I'll be happy. Happiness is always something way out there in the future.
It's a carrot. It's a reward.
Right. But you get more money and you're not happy. You have a relationship, you're not happy. You get a new car, you're not happy. Because they're a lot like the ones you had before.
And what did you sacrifice or compromise to have it?
Right.
And so that's really what you wind up realizing, is once you have it, you go, okay, well, look who I'm with. I don't even like her or him. Look at the job I have. I hate my job. But I have all this cool stuff. So if you're living a life where it's whacked out of balance like that, it won't hold up. You've got to, it's not about having stuff or getting that relationship. It's about being who you are. It's about honoring yourself. It's about getting, I call it cheating. Okay, I'll just call it what I call it, because I always have. I've always been able to get really a great life. I've always had a great life because I knew how to do this. I knew how to pull back and let the guidance come through and feel that direction that they were nudging me toward. Now, I was the one in control. I was the one that had to take those steps. I had to want to be the one that walked that way. But because it's my free will, it's my life. And they know that they can't interrupt that they can give me guidance that I can act on or not, okay? But to the most part, I let the guidance come to me, and I followed that guidance. And it was much more, it might sound kind of boring and stuff to hear that, but it was much more exciting than anything I could have planned, okay, or made happen. I'm going to make my relationship work. No, you're not. Your relationship either works or it doesn't work. That's your relationship. So you can't go out there hunting for a relationship or pining for one. You've just got to become more of who you are. And some people will like you and some people won't. All right? You've got to be okay with that.
Well, I see something else that, you always had a way to get what you wanted. You made it look easy. But what you didn't mention that most people don't have when they're chasing these relationships or chasing a new job or chasing this is gratitude. They don't appreciate what they have, so that encourages them to look for things they don't have. More of something.
You're still thirsty.
Right.
When you have gratitude, it's like your biggest lessons have been your biggest gifts, because until you have those lessons sometimes, you can't have the gratitude. You don't have a basis of comparison, right? But once you have that, you guys, that's like the biggest treasure you could have. That's better than money in the bank. That's better than all the riches and anything you could ever imagine. When you have gratitude, there's just nothing you can't do. And you know how to appreciate everything you have and appreciate what you're becoming and what it takes to find out who that is. Gratitude.
Yeah, in Guided, you talk about what was the first time you really realized that gratitude was it?
When it's chapter 8, the end of chapter 8, when I got out with my life, out of that childhood family I grew up in. And I couldn't believe I got out with my life. It was like, I felt my physical body, my body actually morphing, changing, physically changing. I couldn't believe what I was feeling. I just went with it because I had held on, so long, just to get through another day of it, okay, that I didn't know how to breathe. I didn't know how to speak my mind.
Always watching over your shoulder.
I didn't know how to do that. Always, watching my back, walking on eggshells. So I know what gratitude is. And, ever since I left, and no matter what happened in my life after I got out of that family environment at 16 years old, never have I ever felt like that again in my life. No matter what happened in my life, it's never been that bad again, ever. And by the way, that was a prophecy my guides told me from the beginning of my life, throughout my childhood. They said, if you can make it through childhood, life will get better as you get older. If I could make it through childhood. That's another reason my guides came to me so young. I needed them. I mean, I was in some jeopardy, and they weren't quite sure I was going to pull it off. They weren't sure that I was going to make it through childhood. But
you almost didn't make it through childhood.
No, I almost didn't. But they were there guiding me along the way and helping me understand from a higher level. And that's what you get when you slow it down and you expect the right thing to come to you. All right? That's what you do. And in the meantime, you become all the things that you are attracting. So you want to become the best you can be and attract that to you. Then you'll be happy.
Yeah, what makes you happy? I mean, when for those who haven't read Guided, when you escaped the family, a dysfunctional, abusive family, after 16 years, you escaped with no food, no money, no car, no job, no skills, hadn't even finished high school, and pregnant. But it was the happiest day of your life.
I had gratitude, and I had no fear. That's it. That's the formula. Imagine having that, really having that. No matter what happens in your life, you go, no way am I going to dive into fear with that one. Somebody sends you a letter in the mail and they threaten to sue you. Nope, I'm not going to let that run over me and suck the life out of me. Okay? No way. And you sit down, and what do? You start writing down what happened. What's going on? What led up to this? What really happened, all right? Until you learn this discipline of telling yourself the truth, because I got news for you, you guys, you've been lying to yourself. You started it so long ago. You felt like society pushed you in a corner and made you do it. Because you didn't have any answers, so you just gave them any answer just to please them, just to placate them, just to, calm the situation down so everyone would get along. You did all that, and it just compiled into the life you have now, and you're going, golly, it could have been, my life could be better. I know it could be. I still have a lot of hope for myself. Well, hope is not a strategy. You got to get in there and find out what happened back there, part 2, page 1 through 18, all right? You got to get in there and find out what it is. Free download on my website. This is my free book, my latest book, book 4. And it's the result of Guided from the thousands of fans that had asked me, how do I make the connection to my guides? How do I start thinking clearer and making better decisions? This is how you do it, right here.
I'm going to post the link to Ray Takes the Journey. I think they like that.
Right.
Because I'm just like you guys are. I'm not like Linda.
Ray took the journey, part 2, and I did an interview with Ray about what it was like for him, so you guys could get your head around what it was like for, like he said, for himself. Ray and I met when I was 52, and when I was 51, and Ray was 52. So he didn't know this stuff. I mean, he had played around with personal development and spirituality stuff, but nothing like this, like what we're doing now. And he really understands it now. He's had a long, we've been together for 14 years. So he's now had a long journey, a personal journey with the guides as a result of being with me and the work that we do. So that's
First thing I asked you after I found out what you had this company is I want to learn how to do this.
Right, he did. And in the beginning, he really struggled with it,
Yeah.
But see what you do is you don't make yourself, you don't push yourself. You ease into it. It's a gradual, step-by-step process that gets you where you're going, wherever that is. All right. So Ray, do we have any more questions?
No new questions.
Okay. You guys are a quiet.
Good observation.
Yeah.
Sarah says the guidance that she's getting from other people's questions is real good.
Oh, good. And that's what
Everything helps. Everything's connected here.
Yeah, it always works like that. Sarah knows that. She wrote a book about
Her abusive childhood.
but Sarah, put your book up. Put in this feed what your book is, and the subtitle to your book. I love the subtitle to Sarah's book. Sarah is a new author, and she just published this book like
Amazon, right?
3 or 4 days ago on Amazon.
Put the link up too there. Okay?
Put the link to Amazon up in the feed, along with the name of your book and the subtitle, and by Sarah Gee. Make sure you put that all in there and the link, so they can go take a look at what you did, Sarah.
We hope you all write a book. There's a story in everybody.
Sarah wrote a riveting book. You guys have to be, if you like a thriller, you like, and you want to learn spiritually, you want to grow spiritually, it's a great read. It's not exhaustingly long, but it's good. All right.
Okay, we probably no new questions.
Okay.
Should probably talk about what's going to happen
Next week, I'll take that.
next week and have a little closing session after that.
Do you want to say what it's going to be?
No, go ahead. I can't see it over here.
Well, you can see it right here, Ray. Right here. Look.
Next week, same place, same time, February the 27th. That is one day before what? Our anniversary
How many years is it
of the
going to
day
be?
we met,
And that's going to be?
the 28th of February.
How many years is that going to be, Ray? See how they forget? 14 years.
14 years.
We always remember. Anyway, it's next Tuesday. Always Tuesdays. Okay, go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, the 28th is Wednesday, the next day. Our anniversary.
14
We
years.
met twice the same day. First time, she ran away out the door as fast as she could
You
run.
guys, it's in my book guided. It's amazing how it played out.
Okay, next week, speak to your guides on Tuesdays with Linda Deir and Ray Holly, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. The guides are going to talk about questioning everything. You were on a quest to find your own answers. Once you started searching and questioning everything, you were on track to reconnect with us. That was the missing connection you were reaching for to put yourself back together again. You can watch the video on questioning everything in My Guided Journey, Part 2, page 15, on Linda's website under the blog, so you can speak with your guides about it next week, right here on Facebook Live.
So are you going to post that link for
I
them
can do that.
Okay, Ray will post that link so you guys can get a heads up on what we're doing next Tuesday, okay?
Because there's already an hour video for that, isn't there?
That's the video.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's in My Guided Journey on my website, free download at lindadeir.com, and Ray's posted it in the feed. And we're going to be on page 15 next week, questioning everything. And see, you guys, until you go back and you remember what those times were, what was going on within you, what caused you to make the decisions you did, what you felt forced to do versus where you stayed in your own power, how much of you was leaning this way or that, okay? It's time to go back and reclaim the whole thing. That's recovering your black box. That's what that is. Going in there, opening it up, and seeing exactly what happened. Not some distortion or exaggeration or or something you wanted to believe happened, because with the farther you go back, the more you make it up. So you got to just get real clear with that as you write it into your journey part in part 2. That's why watching the videos we did first will get you in the right mindset to start taking that journey. All right? It's real important. We're going to close this session with the guide's closing message to all of you about the search begins, and here they go.
Recovering your black box.
Recovering your black box, and here they go.
As your search begins going backwards, or any new searches going forward, you are going into uncharted territory. It's critical to have a map so you don't lose your way again. Once you reconnect and make that course correction moving forward, you must not chase things. Let them come to you in the moment. You must remember that your gratitude should be greater than your desires.
Wow. If we just keep a check on that, your gratitude should be greater than your desires. Desires comes from what you are chasing and wanting, okay? And gratitude just comes from a calm place. You know when you're in gratitude when you get quiet, and when you can just look at things and see them for what they are, and do the right thing for everybody and yourself, all right? But if you don't do the right thing for yourself first, you guys, it's like being in an airplane and all of a sudden there's an emergency. And the captain says, put your mask on, and your air. And you've got to put your mask on before you can assist whoever is with you, right? Well, you've got to get better. You've got to get your act together. You've got to understand who you are and know who you are and trust who that is. So that as you move through this rocky world, it feels sometimes like you're on a ship and it's just throwing you everywhere. You're in control. You know how to bring your center back. You know how to stay connected. You get the guidance. You know what to do next. You don't get excited. You stay calm. You pay attention to what's going on. And when guidance comes through, you take action. You don't just say, oh, I got guidance. Because guidance has a shelf life, and if you don't use it, you lose it. So you'll find that out about your guidance too. So everything you learned today, put it to work. Use it or lose it.
And this is what becomes your black box.
That is the black box. That is the black box. That's going to open it up in a safe way where you can, watching the videos associated with each one of the pages in part 2 is the key. Because if you don't get in the right mindset, that black box, you'll sit there, you'll open it, and you'll go, well, what's that? You won't know how to interpret it. Okay, that's where these videos are going to push you through it. You're going to go, oh boy, I get it now. I know what to do now. And before you start writing on that page in part 2, whatever page you're working on, you just watch the video, sleep on it. And if you get a dream about it, if guidance comes to you between the time you watched that video, you're working on that page, and you're putting it together, okay? You're going to have it. You're just going to write it right out. It's just going to pour out of you. No effort at all. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're having writer's block. That's because you didn't do the things that you need to do to bring this out. Open your black box and go, oh, I see what it is. I know what to write in my journal now, okay, on my journey.
If you keep a record of every step you're taking moving forward, when you want to go back, you just retrace your steps.
Oh boy, you're dead on. You cannot miss. But you're not used to doing this. No one has ever taught you to do this. In fact, I don't know anything out there that does this like we have done this for you, okay?
There's a lot of psychology put into this.
There is. In fact, guided for parapsychology is
number 3.
well, it's number 3, but in the 60,000 on Amazon, it's number
3.
12.
12? No, it's number 6 this afternoon.
Or was it 6? Okay.
6 out of
6.
60,000.
Okay, so that's not me talking. That's the search criteria when people look for guided, and where they are drawn to the book, parapsychology.
Right. They use the search term parapsychology.
Yeah, parapsychology, prophecy, and dreams.
And dreams.
That's the 3 things that, Ray handles the marketing part of this, so he brings these things to my attention as I'm working at what I do. But yeah, that's what shows up.
And guided in dreams, in the dreams category, there's even more than 60,000 books.
Right.
You're number 3. 2 steps ahead of Barack Obama in his dream book.
That's pretty funny, you guys. So come next week to speak to your guides about questioning everything. We'll see you next Tuesday. That's February 27th. Right?
The day before our anniversary.
The day before our 14th anniversary. 14 years ago, I didn't even know you, Ray.
No, you didn't.
Huh?
Nope, you didn't.
That's right.
And then she lives happily ever after.
I tell you, what are you going to do? Okay, you guys, we'll see you next week.
See you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.